Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Extra Gents Scents. Today we're talking about a fragrance that has been very popular for over a decade now. Came out in 2011. It's still one of the best-selling fragrances in the United States. And yet somehow over the years it's become a little bit of a punching bag for some people. It's this one, Montblanc Legend Eau de Toilette. So yeah, this, as I said, is one of the better selling fragrances in the US. I did a video on the main channel where I went over the top 30 best selling fragrances of last year in 3 different parts, so feel free to check that out. But Legend is one of those fragrances, which could be a surprise to some people because it's maybe not what you would immediately think of as one of the best-selling scents out there. I mean, it's from Montblanc, which is not necessarily a huge fragrance house, you know, not like Armani or Dior or YSL or anything like that. The fragrance itself has been out for a while, like I said, since 2011, so it's not something new that's suddenly, you know, catching this big rush of popularity because everybody wants to grab the hot new thing. It is on the cheaper side of things, at least from discounters, so that could potentially help with some people, especially with everything going up in price, but this one has consistently sold over time, so it's not like it just suddenly popped up in the bestsellers list because it's suddenly cheap or something. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over Legend Eau de Toilette a little bit, how it smells, what I think about it, and also whether or not I think that this one is still worthy of a potential pickup. Now, I'm just going to be showing you the presentation of the bottle itself because I've had this for a long time. I got no clue where the box is. It was thrown out a long time ago. I'll have this linked in the description below. I do recommend, if you purchase this, picking it up from a discounter because the price of this one at a discounter is going to be around $35 for a 100 ml size bottle. You may be able to find it even less than that. And then for a 50 ml size bottle, you're going to be looking at probably around $27, $28. So it is comfortably a cheap fragrance, not expensive whatsoever, which is actually a really good thing. As I mentioned before, a lot of stuff nowadays is very expensive, so being able to find something on the cheap is always nice. Let's kick things off by taking a quick look at the bottle here. So here is the bottle for Legend Eau de Toilette. At this point, it's kind of an iconic bottle shape. If you saw the outline for this bottle, you would know immediately, oh, that's Legend. On the front of the bottle, you have the Montblanc logo, as well as on top of the cap, and then Montblanc written around the cap, and the cap does click into place. Let's go ahead and share a couple sprays here so you can check out the atomizer. It's actually a really nice one. There we go. Probably didn't come across that well on camera, but it does actually work really well. Now, before we jump into the fragrance itself and how it smells, here are a bunch of different codes that you can use at different websites to save yourself some money, should you shop at them. Fragflex.com is a newer discounter. The code GS11 will save you 11% off site-wide. And then, of course, there are a bunch of other codes for a bunch of other different websites. So if you shop there, use those codes. Let's start talking Legend. Legend Eau de Toilette, obviously the first in the line, which has launched a bunch of flankers. Legend Spirit being one of the more well-known ones. That one smells a bit similar to Invictus Aqua. Then there is Legend Eau de Parfum, Legend Red, the discontinued Legend Intense. Now they have the new Legend Blue that's coming out soon. It's not out just yet as of when I'm filming, but that's on the way. Then there is also Legend Night, which that one smells very pleasant as well, and a bunch of different special editions that they came out with not long after this was launched. This is just to say, once again, that this is a very successful line of fragrances, and this is the one that kicked it off. And interestingly enough, the one that kicked it off smells similar to another fragrance out there, which is really well known, which I'm sure the vast majority of you out there know what I'm talking about. It is Fierce from Abercrombie & Fitch. Yes, Fierce and Legend are quite similar in how they smell. Fierce was, for a time, the smell of the mall, at least in the United States. If you went into a mall, you were gonna smell this and you were gonna smell a lot of it, and it was like that for quite a while. Really popular, just about everybody owned this stuff, and still to this day, really popular. Between the two, Fierce is the more expensive fragrance. Even at discounters, Fierce is usually not discounted really heavily. So this one, a lot of times, you'll find at discounters for $70, $80, sometimes even higher than that. Whereas, like I said earlier, Legend is more in that 35 range and sometimes below that. So Fierce, you could comfortably say, is about 2 to 2.5 times more expensive than Legend at discounters. And of course, with this smelling similar to Fierce, that also means it smells a little bit similar to Parfums de Marly Percival, because Percival also smells similar to Fierce. So those three fragrances, Legend, Fierce, Percival, all kind of tied together to an extent in terms of how they come across. Obviously, Percival is going to be the highest quality of the bunch, also the best performing of the bunch, but also easily the most expensive of the bunch as well. So I guess if you really like this style of fragrance and money is not an issue, you could just get Percival. So let's talk about how Legend Eau de Toilette smells when you spray this one on. It opens with a nice fruity touch, but it's not overly sweet. There's a little bit of sweetness to it, but it is at the end of the day a very fresh, kind of clean, masculine leaning fragrance rather than an overly sweet, fruity blast when you first spray it on. So you have in there apple, pineapple, and bergamot. So again, a good amount of fruit when you spray it on, but lavender really takes the forefront. That's the thing you're gonna notice the most. So it's more so the lavender being supported by these fruity notes and this bit of sweetness when you first spray it on. Also on the top, you have verbena. It's gonna give you a little green touch, helps add more of that clean aspect when you first spray this on. As it dries down, you've got a nice woodiness, a little floral touch, not that much. It's really underneath everything else, so most people probably wouldn't even, take that in as being a floral aspect to the fragrance. And then tonka imparts a little additional sweetness in there, but again, this one never really goes over to being a sweet scent. At the end of the day, it's extremely versatile, very easy to wear. Daytime, nighttime, any season, you can pull this off. And for me, I feel Legend is a much better buy than Fierce nowadays. Just with the price difference between these two, I think Legend is a much better bang for your buck. And actually, I've been wearing these side by side the last couple days. Legend outperforms Fierce for me. And I know that's not like, whoa, oh, Fierce, whoa. Fierce isn't known nowadays for being a huge performer or anything like that. But if Legend outperforms Fierce and it costs less than half what Fierce costs, and there's not really a big difference at all in terms of the quality of ingredients, why get Fierce? I mean, yes, Fierce came first, so you could give it props for that, but Legend's a better buy. Is there a difference between these two when you spray them on side by side? Yeah, but in the air, most people are not going to be able to tell a difference between these two, honestly. If somebody's very familiar with Legend and they smelled Fierce, they'd be like, oh, it's probably Legend, and vice versa. If somebody's really familiar with Fierce and they smell Legend in the air, they'll be like, oh, it's like Fierce. To me, Legend, like I said, has a little more pop to it, lasts longer. It's a little bit woodier as well as it dries down. Now, when you look at the note breakdowns, Fierce actually has more woods in the fragrance, but I think where Legend kind of lingers on my skin a bit longer, it has that woodiness recognizable for longer than in Fierce over here. Some people will find Legend to be sweeter, but for me, off the top, I actually find Fierce a little bit sweeter, probably because the lavender pops out more in Legend. So when it first hits my skin, Legend is a little bit heavier and denser, and Fierce is a little bit more sparkly, a little bit more effervescent initially. So I can kind of key in on the sweeter aspects of this one a little bit quicker, I feel like, than in Legend. But this is splitting hairs. They're not that different at the end of the day. Fierce opens up a little bit more lively, a little bit zingier, a little bit airier. It has more of an effervescence to it. And so that allows me to key in, I feel like, quicker on the citrus notes that Fierce has, and that comes across to me as being a little bit sweeter than Legend. Legend comes across a little heavier initially, again with that lavender being very prominent and then the fruits kind of sitting underneath, whereas with this one I get the fruits up top. The difference is not huge though, and like I said, for some people maybe they key in less on that lavender initially, and maybe they key in more on the pineapple and the citrus and the apple that's in Legend. And if that's the case, then maybe they would say, oh no, I think that this is a little bit sweeter. But I do think side by side that this one, Fierce, is airier, like I said, livelier, zingier off the top, and Legend sits a little bit heavier. Now, as I alluded to at the beginning of the video, Legend Eau de Toilette, interestingly enough, has become a little bit of a punching bag where people have piled on a little bit, saying that it smells synthetic, cheap, that it's garbage, that it's derivative, boring, etc., etc. And I feel that's unwarranted. Again, you're talking about a fragrance that has been out now for over a decade, that people are still wearing religiously, that's still selling very well, that you can find for a bargain, which is important because a lot of people right now do not have crazy money to spend on fragrances, but they still want to smell good. And I think that for the price point that you can get this for, again, 35 bucks, even under 30 if you get a 50 mil, it's a great buy. You can use it year round, daytime, nighttime. You can use it on a date. You can wear it to the office. You can wear it casually. It's a compliment puller. People love this scent profile. Going back to Fierce, all the way to Percival, it still works. So I don't think that it's fair necessarily to lump everybody who likes this style of fragrance into a category of just like, oh, they're morons or they have no taste or whatever. So yeah, for me, $35 or less, this is a great buy. I think there's nothing wrong with Legend. It still smells good. It still works. The performance is not amazing, but it's better than Fierce. And I would say it's completely average as far as performance goes. It's not weak. I've got way weaker fragrances than this one. And as always with cheapies, if you want it to last longer, go heavy, you know? Go ham, spray yourself 15 times. So Legend EDT, for me, it still works, it's still worth it, and it's a great buy. And if you enjoy this, or Percival, and you ever read somebody saying how it's garbage and all this stuff, don't worry about that. If it makes you happy, you wear it. And honestly, if you don't like it, that's cool too. Just don't make fun of other people for liking it. All right, guys, that is it. I am out of here. Thank you all for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.